Our current session contains IWPA, game marketing consultant, and she will talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the industry. Welcome, everybody. Today, one of my subjects is, as a ambassador of women in games, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. In the gaming industry, we will discuss how is diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I will look at it through a general perspective, general scope, because this isn't some minor part of our lives. I want to see how we can build upon these values, and I would like to hear your opinions. I would like to introduce myself. Gaming has been a part of all of our lives. I have been a gamer from my childhood. In the 80s, I always played games. I graduated from Boston University, and I always worked in communication and marketing areas. So I'm not particularly working in gaming industry. I worked in tourism, and for the last 2 years, I have been working as a marketing director in IWPA, and I saw there are some disregarded parts in gaming industry. And what are those disregarded parts? There are quite a few subheaders for this. And in the business world, it's a giant industry. For our perspective, since I come for women in games here, I would like to say, why am I here? In the gaming industry, in every industry, there's a lack of women and there's a lack of diversity. But in Women in Games last report, they say diversity and equity should be diversity and equity provides a win-win environment for everybody. So we all win through diversity and equity. This can't only be a financial. Building an equal basis for everybody will benefits our industry in the long term. And in the structure here, I hope we can pass the slide. I'm trying. How many students do we have here? Okay, that's great. Are you doing anything in the gaming industry right now? Okay, you do. Who is in the gaming industry? Okay. Who wants to be in the gaming industry? Well, who thinks they have an idea but is afraid to venture on their ideas? I prepared the presentation in Mac, but the animation isn't working. I want to. I look at diversity and equity in 2 stages. First stage is the state of the industry. Second is the state of the gamers, and the third part is game design. These all parts require work to be done. Let's see what we can do in these areas. First is industry, as I mentioned. I would like to give you some numbers before we start. These are from business life. And just to give you a clear vision here, I never want to look at it as women or men, but it gives us a basis on which we can build. You will see a lot of data in the presentation. This is Sunday, and you're not maybe prepared for the numbers, but there will be a lot of them. In Fortune 500, there's only 10% of the companies has a women CEOs. 17% VC goes to women-led or co-led companies, and 15% of the VC has general partners in the US. 15% of the VC general partners in the US are women. Okay, let's check the gaming industry. These are the general numbers, general data. There, gaming industry has 3 billion gamers. So almost half of the world are gamers, and this number is growing day by day. As kids are growing, the number is increasing. And the gaming industry generated 300 billion US dollars of revenue. I'm sure you have heard this before, but the total volume of gaming in the film and music industry is smaller than gaming industry. Everybody's talking about movies, videos, video platforms, Hollywood industry, but when you sum them all up, it's still smaller than the gaming industry. And 80% of the gamers are Gen Z. Oh, I'm sorry. 80% of the Gen Z and millennials are gamers, regardless of the platform. The 48% you see here is the. Can we change this, the location? %48 is the percentage of women in all industries. Before going into a diversity, let's talk about the data. The 14.1% is in the Europe. The number of women who are working in the same positions with men but are getting less pay. The women receive 14.1% less pay compared to men in the same position. So what do you think is the 20%? The 20% is the percentage of women in the gaming industry. So we see a huge drop here. In the total, there is a slight difference, but in the gaming industry, we have a 20% women rate. In global scene, this number was 11% in 2005. In 2015, it was 22%, and in 2019, it was 24%. The data I just showed you was Europe, but this is the global scene. So we have a huge scope here, huge area. We all are interested in gaming. So there's not only software parts in gaming. There's architecture, economy, marketing. There's a lot of moving parts in gaming industry. So it's not only about technology. There are a lot of areas to be worked in. And this is an interesting data for me. Hewlett Packard has a report. They review behavior of women and men in work applications, job applications. Men say, if I have 60% compatibility, I can apply to this job. But women look for minimum 100% compatibility. So you can see the number. You see in job posting, there are some requirements. Women want to meet 100% of the requirements. There are a lot of underlying reasons for this, but I think we can delve deeper in this because it's about the perspective as well. Maybe a woman might be saying, well, I'm not going to get accepted anyway. And maybe they say, there aren't any women working in that company. Why should I bother? Maybe they feel incompetent. So there are a lot of subjects to be worked on. The second subject is the players, the gamers. The players, I think a lot of people watch Stranger Things, right? Has anyone watched Stranger Things here? Okay, in the 4th season, they are playing FRP games, and it's a male-dominated environment because it's a small friend group. And sisters of one of the cast wants to join into the game, and she's really successful in the game. And in the gaming scene, I'm not only talking about RPG, the evolution of FRP. Gaming is transferred from bigger brothers to little siblings. So a male figure is needed to motivate you to play games. Okay, let's talk about Lego. Lego has a great research, and it was done in 2021, so it's really recent. Okay, I would like to ask you all is Lego a boy toy or a girl toy? It's unisex, right? Because we all played with Lego in our childhoods. It's an old brand, and they asked the parents, would you motivate your son or girl to play Legos? And you can see the ratio here. 76% of the parents think Lego is a boy toy, and only 24% say it's a girl toy. And it's not only about Lego, it's done on general gaming principles. And they ask, what do you think about dancing? Is it a boy thing or a girl thing? And the ratio changes drastically when it's about dancing. So we can see the approach of the parents here. And after that, we have sports. In sports, I think you might guess the results. It's 76 to 24%, but it's reversed. I'm sorry, the ratios are reversed here. In cooking, baking, it's 80 to 20%. And as you may know, there are more professional male chefs than female chefs. In coding toys, this ratio changes 71% to 29%. We have a lot of toys to get children into coding, and they can do a lot of things. They have computers at their disposal, so they can switch up to coding. And in dress-up activities, the ratio changes again, 17% to 83%. And program games, the ratio changes again, 80% to 20%. Does this 80 to 20 remind you of anything? There are 20% of the workers in gaming industry are women, so it's not really surprising. So the behavior of the families affects our gaming industry. The family's behavior matches the behavior of the women in our industry. It's not about women aren't interested in coding or gaming. What we can infer from this is gamers don't really choose their path themselves. They choose predetermined paths. But 50% of the gamers are women. Even though this this percentage changes based on age, but approximately 50% of gamers are women overall. And this is a research done in England. They researched children signed up to esports programs. 41% of the girls that signed up to this as students had no idea about what the program was about. They only thought about it as programming. But this percentage of boys was 14%. So boys knew more about this. So they followed it more. And it shows that there's a social reason behind this. There are a lot of events. They want women to talk. They want to highlight the women in the industry. But you can see the entire event is dominated by men. But the panelists are women. But if she's competent, or if he's competent, they should be given voice. But we should let our voices be heard, because we couldn't get past male and female business. So we have ways to go. And let's look at the game design part of things. Here, it is more complicated. This is a game from my childhood. This is Street Fighter. You would play it in arcade. You had only Chun-Li as a female playable character, and there wasn't anybody else. We loved Chun-Li because even boys would choose Chun-Li. They wouldn't say, "Hey, this is a girl. I don't want to choose this." She was one of my favorite characters. One of my favorite characters was Blanca. I'm sorry. So the characters don't need to represent you, but you like to see the inclusion, the diversity in the games. You are playing as a woman in the game, and even if the behavior is different from your behavior, it is nice to be represented in games. I think there were 16 characters in Street Fighter, and only one of them was female, and she was from the East, Oriental, so she would dance accordingly to her culture. When we are designing games now, it is a male-dominated environment. Okay, let's give some more numbers. In the Gen Z, especially, most of the people, they say Gen Z is like this, alphas are like this, but we are slowly evolving as the human race. So metaverse just came into our lives instantly, and they didn't say, "Hey, you're living in it now." It was always a part of our lives, whether it be in our phones or on computer PCs. We all played games. The gaming evokes emotions in us. 52% of Gen Z feels more like themselves in games than in real life, because they can express themselves as they want. Maybe their physique isn't suitable to wear those clothes in real life, so they can express themselves better in games. 45% of them say it's a tool for self-exploration. I can try different things. So it's not only about war or fighting. There are a lot of games, different types of games. 65% of the people say online relationships are just as meaningful as offline ones. And I 100% agree with this. Nowadays, especially in the game we are developing right now, when we are doing a community activity, the behavior of the people isn't reckless. Hey, they're online friends. I'm not just texting them to text or like that. They're talking as they would in real life. They're talking as they're talking face to face. 51% say feel like who they are online influences who they are in the real world, and 56% say my avatar is me. So they try to design their characters as they want to be expressed. You all have played games, you worked in gaming industry, so when you're designing a game, in terms of game design, you should think about this. One of the examples is Women in Games has made a research in cooperation with Dow and Epic Games. So women from real life was brought in for the research. and their characters, the characters they created, were incorporated into Fortnite. And especially 2/3 of the women don't think they're represented well in the gaming industry. Well, you play a game and you attach to a character, and you don't really think if it suits you. If it's not a homogeneous environment, it really distracts you. So diversity should be emphasized upon. We have a lot of data from women and female side of women and men side of things. What we can infer from this, as an individual, I have wants, and I am different from A to B. I'm unique. So how can I express myself? That is important. There's ethnicity, there's religion, there's a lot of different aspects of inclusion. We need to provide inclusion. And one of the steps is this project, and it is expected to win awards. So what can we do? We think, hey, I'm a small part of this industry. Can I employ women? Maybe that's not the way, but we can change our perception. It all starts from us. So the parents, when they're directing their children, they're affecting the data in the future. So we should be aware of the situation. So we are aware of the situation. You're going to employ people, you are going to work with people. So let your voice be heard. I think this is essential. This is critical, because this awareness is like, people don't really want to make their voices be heard, but inclusion means different unique people can be working together. We are emphasizing empathy. Maybe you don't need to understand the person in front of you exactly, but you should at least try to. If they are saying something, instead of saying, hey, that doesn't work, you should think, hey, is this doable? Is this meaningful? You shouldn't think, should I do something for 20%? No, we should think, can we make a difference for that 20%? So we have to make our voice be heard. Sometimes we are afraid to talk with your schoolmates, with your teammates, colleagues. You should watch your language. Also, we can influence people. You're playing with your cousin, with your brothers. When you're buying a gift for them, disregard the gender ideas. If you see someone different than you, you should teach them. And when you're buying a gift for a minor, I think you should take this into consideration. Also, if you have a community that you belong to, please try to see if there's anyone who feels excluded from the community. Maybe you can do small surveys to sense this. We have to hear the opinions of the people, because not everybody can come up and say, hey, I'm being treated badly, and speak up. One of the female software developers in the panels has said that she heard, hey, you're really good for a woman, right? Well, she doesn't really think it was meant in a bad way, but it's still humiliating. So you should, everything you say, even if it's a small thing, everything you say can affect the person in front of you. It can be your sister, it can be your friend, but you should really watch language. And sometimes you hear you see the headlines, a woman has come up to the lead position of this company, etc., etc. This shouldn't be highlighted. And in our life, we are evolving and we are raising awareness. I think Gen Z has more awareness in this area because it's really the time to talk about these subjects, and we should explore the other layers. Thank you very much. I hope that was a fun presentation for you. In this ecosystem in which we are all stakeholders, I hope we can create an equal environment for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Meltem, for your participation. If there are any questions, we can take questions. There aren't any questions on Zoom right now. Hello, thank you very much for your presentation. I think the 80 to 20% balance is still felt today. The male to female balance is still felt today. I want to ask, in games, the female characters are sexualized. And I don't think that is right. It always catches my attention, grabs my attention. In gaming trailers, I see this all the time. What do you think about this? Okay, women characters have less, there are less women characters, fewer women characters in gaming, but I think woman body grabs way too much attention. And I think you're correct on your view. And the DAO has a similar example. We want to see real people. We don't want to see exaggerated figures in games. When creating superheroes or heroines, they give them sexy bodies and build upon that because sex sells. So they build on that. I think this excludes women because as a function, they are strong characters, but because of some features of them, real women don't want to choose female characters in gaming. So when evaluating some aspects, you need to hear about the community. Okay, you can say we have 5 women in the game, but you should hear about the community. Chun-Li doesn't really represent me, for example, in the game. I just chose her because she's a female as a little girl. So everything should be inspected in detail, and we should consider the data and work accordingly. And as a woman, when if I don't think the female character looks like me, I don't really make a connection to the character in the game. What success exactly? Okay, they have a female character, but the female characters don't really attract female players. And I think it's just for show, or they want to appeal to men. So that's audience. If you want to have more women in your game, you should work with the correct focus groups. Maybe some people want to see female characters like that. Some people might not. So you have to work with the correct artists as well, because male and female brains are different, and they see different things. So the direction should be clear, and it's a sensitive balance. Okay, you know, the classic stereotypes, it will continue, but I think they will die out soon. And I want to believe that. I want to believe that they will die out because we are going towards more naturality, more realistic way. And I think it will evolve like that.
Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you for listening to me on a Sunday.